everybody, JC here from Toy News International, and I'm here today with another trailer review. The new X-Men Apocalypse trailer debuted this morning online, and if you haven't checked it out already, I'll have a link to the video to that trailer in the description below. Be sure you watch that before you watch this video. But I just wanted to share some of my thoughts on it real quick, and I'd certainly love to hear what you guys thought in the comment section below. So anyway, overall, I liked what I saw from it. I've got to say, I've liked most of the X-Men movies from Fox. I know a lot of people have bashed them over the years, but, other than the third X-Men movie, I thought they've done a pretty good job with the X-Men franchise in general. Now, I can't say the same for Fantastic Four. Those movies are all horrible, but with X-Men, I think they've done a pretty good job. With this trailer, I definitely liked what I saw. I thought Apocalypse actually looked pretty good for the most part. I know a lot of people were kind of worried when they saw initial images that appeared online a few months ago, and I was one of those people. Definitely looked like a character from Power Rangers when we first saw that. But I think those images kind of portrayed him without the added addition of movie special effects. And I think, seeing him in this trailer, I think I feel much more confident that he's going to be pretty decent in this movie. Now, one thing I did notice is in the scene where he's pulling the hood off the top of his head and we get a good look at the top of his head, it does look like he's got a zipper there on the top of his head. I don't know if that's what that is, but that's what it definitely looks like. Also looks like he gets big in this movie, which is good. There's something that he's done in the comics and the cartoons and stuff is grow to a large size. Now, one thing I was thinking, though, was it looks like that in the scene where he's big and he's like fighting Xavier, it looks like it's in the X Mansion, and I'm almost wondering if maybe this is a battle that's going on the astral plane as opposed to the physical plane. So I wonder if he does in fact get big in real life, or if that's just something that happens on the mental astral plane. It'll be interesting to see how that plays out. There's also the scene where it looks like something's coming out of the ocean or the river in New York City, and that may be Apocalypse, so I don't know. As for the characters, the character designs, we've got a new Storm, and she looks pretty good. I am, not, I don't know if concern is the right word. I mean, I realized a long time ago that this movie these movies definitely differ a fair amount from the comics and everything, which I'm fine with that. I don't have a huge issue with that. In fact, it can be nice to get something a little bit original and not just a cut and paste of the comic books. But it is, I find it a little odd to see Storm as a four horseman. Same with, I guess, Psylocke. At least that's my impression. I don't know for sure she's a four horseman, but just from this trailer, that's the impression I got, that her and Psylocke and Magneto, and then that guy, which I don't recognize, the guy with the squiggly lines on the back of his head, I don't recognize who that's supposed to be. If you guys know, chime in, let me know, because I'm curious to know who that guy's supposed to be. So I'm kind of like, those are kind of odd choices for Apocalypse's horsemen, but, like I said, hopefully it'll turn out good. We also see Angel or Archangel. I don't know, it looks like Angel, but he's got the metal wings, so I don't know what's up with that, if that's supposed to be Angel and they've just given him metal wings, or if that is supposed to be Archangel, and if those metal wings are from Apocalypse. So it'll be interesting to see what they do with that. We've got Quicksilver returning, which, I liked him in the last movie. I thought they did a good job with that character, so I like to see that he's returning. Looks like we've got a new Nightcrawler, which looks very much like the Nightcrawler from X-Men 2, so no complaints there. Now, Cyclops and Jean Grey. Cyclops, looks like he's a little bit wet behind the ears, which I guess if you've been following the movies and the plots of these movies, that makes sense. But I prefer my Cyclops to be kind of like the team leader and the guy that kind of takes command. So hopefully that happens in this movie, but it'll be interesting to see how that plays out. Jean, I don't know. My thing with her is every time I hear her talk and I see her, but especially when I hear her talk, the first thing I think of is Game of Thrones, Sansa from Game of Thrones. And so it's hard for me to get that image of that character out of my head when I hear her speak. And that's a very different kind of character than Jean Grey. So, like I said, hopefully that's something that as time goes on, I'll get more used to her as Jean Grey. But right now, it's like when I hear her, it's like, that's not Jean Grey, that's Sansa from Games of Thrones. That one's going to take a little while to get used to. Looks like Mystique is on the side of the X-Men in this one, which I don't know. I can't say that I mean, Jennifer Lawrence is okay, but she's only an. I liked her in First Class. I thought she did a good job with the character in First Class. The last movie, and then this one, I don't know, just the whole kind of back and forth, whether she's with Xavier or with Magneto, I'm not too fond of, but it'll be interesting to see how that plays out. But again, it looks like that she's going to be on the side of the X-Men with this one. We get a look at Jubilee. She looks pretty good. Not a huge Jubilee fan in general, but she definitely looks good. Storm, the young Storm, looks good. Xavier with a bald head. I think he definitely has done a good job capturing the look of Professor Xavier when that shot when he's sitting there when the door opens and he's in his wheelchair. I think definitely he looks like a good Xavier there. So I'm happy with that. We don't get to see Psylocke much in this trailer. We get to see her for like 1 or 2 seconds. So it's not much to say there. From the initial images we saw of her, I thought she looked good. So I'm pretty. I was never a huge fan of Olivia Munn when she was on the Attack of the Show. In fact, she annoyed the crap out of me. In fact, that entire show annoyed me. But that HBO series, The Newsroom, I watched that, and she was in that, and I actually thought she did a pretty good job. She, kind of actually showed some acting skills in that show. So. I'm hopeful that she can pull it off and she isn't just going to be a pretty face, which I know that's, what a lot of fanboys out there like about her, but hopefully she can add some added dimension to that character. I like Psylocke. She's an interesting character. I remember reading her in the early days before she kind of became Asian and had the pink outfit and everything. And she's related to Captain Britain and stuff. So yeah, she's actually from England, not from Asia. But it'll be interesting to see how that plays out as well. But again, overall, nothing I really did not like. There was nothing I was like, oh my God, that looks horrible. I think everything, the whole overall plot, it looks good. Apocalypse and the Four Horsemen. I read the original X Factor and have those comics still. I grew up reading those, and I love those early X Factor comics. I like the whole concept of like the original X-Men being, in the public eye, being mutant hunters, but really actually just going out and finding mutants so that they could train how to use their powers. I really like that concept of the original X Factor series, and when Apocalypse first appeared in that, and then later in the Fall of the Mutants crossover, which was the first big crossover really event other than maybe Secret Wars that Marvel did. I really like those stories. So I'm a big fan of the character, at least the early incarnation of the character. Again, he's one of those characters over the years that's kind of changed a bit, but definitely in those early days of the comics, I definitely liked him. So I hope they use a lot of the elements from that when they portray this character in this movie. And from what I've seen here, it looks like that maybe they are. I also liked him in the cartoon, the 90s X-Men cartoon. I thought he was pretty good in that too. So anyway, those are my thoughts overall. I think that pretty much covers everything. Looks like we're going back to the black outfits for the X-Men though, which I'm sure probably a lot of you aren't too thrilled with. I gotta admit, it didn't bother me in the original X-Men movie. It didn't bother me much, but especially in this day and age of like Avengers and stuff, where we see the characters in their more true to comic costumes. I think they could do a better job than just basic black costume. So hopefully maybe that's just something they have briefly, and we do see more familiar costumes as the movie progresses, and they're just trying to keep that under wraps. That would probably be my only complaint, I guess, is hopefully we see these characters in their more traditional costumes, like Cyclops, like Jean Grey. But I definitely, the core X-Men team, hope they get some actual X-Men hype costumes, not just the black costumes like we saw in the original movies. Alright, so that's my review. Let me know what you guys think down below in the comments, and until next time, I'll catch you later.